Hey guys, this is a video about my trip to Japan. I was there for 10 days and yeah, this is some footage from downtown Shinjuku. And so the first night I got there, I was mostly staying in my hostel. I was pretty jet lagged. But then the next day I got out, still pretty tired, but I went out to Harajuku and Shinjuku area. So it's like a shopping district, and went out and saw this line for a bunch of people buying Labubus, which is cool. But then mostly I just like walked around and shopped, and then the next day I went to Ueno Zoo, which is a cool little municipal zoo. And honestly, it was kind of sad. I don't know, some of the animals just looked so fucking hot because it was like 95 degrees, but it was a fun time and it was super cheap. It was like $4 admission. I had asked some locals later why it was so cheap, and they said it was because it was a municipal zoo, and so that's why it was so cheap. But and then right next to Ueno Zoo, there's Ueno Park, which is a cool little area. They have like a bunch of these lilies or lotuses, I'm not sure. And then they have like a nice little shrine in the middle of all those field of lotuses, which is cool. And then after I was done with the zoo, I just kind of was planning my next move. Ended up going to get some food at this nice little place that had like a nice little setup. And then that night, I went to hang out with my friend Carrie, who um, is lives in Tokyo, and we got 99 yen beers, which is like 75-cent beers, which was pretty dope. But then that night after I went out with Carrie, I went out and met these people who told me about this event called Camp Jeep with Feel Earth up in the mountains. So, but the next morning, I had to go out to visit a kombucha brewery, one of the few in Tokyo, called Kombucha Ship in Saitama. And I met the head brewer there, Hajime, and talked with him for a while about his process, and really good guy. We ended up getting lunch together and talking a bunch, so that was really cool. But then I wanted to go to this Camp Jeep event, so I had to go to Yama Rent, which is this place that rents gear to people who are going to Mount Fuji, and rent a tent from them. And then hopped on the Shinkansen up to this ski resort in Naeba. Unfortunately, I took the wrong train and ended up in Nagaoka for the night, and so I had to stay the night there. But then hopped on the Shinkansen again back to where I was supposed to be going in Naeba, and then took a little municipal bus up to the actual resort, and just a beautiful area. But I made it to this event, and my buddy Koichi that I'd met the other night hooked me up with a beer and helped me set up my tent and got everything all dialed in at the campsite. And then this next video is just overview of the whole event and the whole camp, and then um, up here is like where the ski resort normally is. But it was a really cool event. A bunch of cool, weird stuff like this bike that's like a old style mountain bike, but it's like a cool little retro vibe. This is my buddy Koichi's friend's game called Caps. It's actually a pretty cool game. It's kind of like tic tac toe, but a little bit more involved. But since it was sponsored by Jeep, this event, you got to take a free ride in a Jeep, which was cool. So I rode around in this little Jeep, and they tell you about all the different features and stuff. It's pretty, I don't know, it's pretty easy. And then I met this guy, Shunpei, who gave me some sake and some food. And I don't know, everybody in Japan is very gracious and really wants to give you free stuff and help you out, and very, very nice people. So it was cool to just to be there. That night at the event, um, you know, it started getting a little more chillaxed and had a few more brews, but it was a really good time. Later on that night, they started doing some music, and then later we did a bonfire. I didn't take any pictures of the bonfire because I was too busy dancing, but after the bonfire, I met this guy, Egan, who is a river rafting guide in the next town over. And next morning, woke up, beautiful day. It rained a little bit, but just beautiful out there. And then did some screen printing, made myself a little bag, but I kind of fucked it up, and you can see she's trying to help me out here, but I don't know, it was a good time anyway. And then that guy Egan that I met the other night had me do some trampoline bungee action, and try to do some flips. And unfortunately I was only able to do 2 flips, but barely got this one. So then that was the end of the event. I had to go back to Tokyo. They had a big send-off. But then I jumped on the Shinkansen back to Tokyo because I had to meet up with my friend Carrie again and drop off that tent. So took the Shinkansen back and then hung out with Carrie that night. And then the next night I went out to Kamakura, which is a cool little area out in just south of Tokyo, and kind of walked around downtown there. It's really weird because like during the day these streets are so busy, but then as soon as it's nighttime, I think everybody goes back to Tokyo or their hotel or whatever, and so they're just chilling out. But they set these bottles next to the thing to ward off cats, which is weird. But and then I took the Shinkansen back up to that same area in Minakami, back by the ski resort, to that guy Egan's and his boss Grassy's like river rafting place, and did this thing called canyoning, which is basically where you float down the river, which since it's summer it's pretty low, but float down the river and you know, just go down this canyon, you know, splash yourself in the water and stuff, and then you'll see I do a huge little jump here, and really good time. Really recommend if you guys are in that area going to I Love Outdoors. Super fun place, and yeah, super awesome. And then next morning I woke up in Minakami and hung out there for a little bit. It's a beautiful area out there. It's up in the Japanese Alps, and a bunch of there's a cool little shack made out of a little train car. But then I had to catch the train going back to Tokyo, and then saw this little trash truck. Everything in Japan is really tiny, so went back to that Ueno area. They have a fun little street fair down there, and it was cool. I had to go get some gifts and stuff, so that was cool. And then later that night I went to the Akihabara area, kind of the anime area, and hung out there. Pretty cool. Next morning before I left, this was the day I left, I went to Kamakura, back to that area where I had met this guy, Shohei, and bought a shirt from his company. Really cool guy, but then I had to take the train back out to the airport. Unfortunately, the flight out of Tokyo was delayed, so I missed my connection in San Francisco, and there was no more flights out of San Francisco, so I spent the day in San Francisco with my brother, hanging out. Fortunately, I was able to get a flight out of Oakland, so I was hanging out in San Francisco for the day, but then took a flight out of Oakland, had to take the train over to the Oakland airport. But it was cool, it worked out because I got to hang out with my brother Patrick and have some drinks and chill out before heading back home. So yeah, thanks for watching.